And so we arrive at our destination, the Khyber Pass podcast. I am your host, Paul Metzger. As always, brought to you by the Khyber Pass Cafe on Grand Avenue in St. Paul. Hosting a music series focusing on the adventures of avant improvisational encounters. Well into their fourth year, presenting concerts every Thursday evening. This week, I had as my guest saxophonist Clay Pufahl, who was performing in quartet of himself on alto, Joe Mayo on the tenor, Ted Olson upright bass, and Joey Van Phillips drum kit. Performing under the name Big Shoe. Presenting original compositions throughout the evening in a post-bebop sensibility, with horn harmonies and engaging compositions. Clay joined me in an interview session taking us through his experience and development as a musician. This week, I present to you that interview along with an excerpt from the concert. And as the lake ice thaws, prepare yourself for this installment of Khyber Pass podcast. Clay, thanks for coming.
Thanks for
being part
having
of
us. Yeah.
Yeah, being part of what this is. And last name pronunciation?
Sure, Pufahl.
Pufahl. Okay.
Phonetic Pufahl, unfortunate. But that.
No, I feel it. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That is like just a built-in mnemonic device.
Yes.
That will never.
That's right.
Never.
Yes.
Once you hear it and have that in your mind.
That's it. Yeah. Well, it takes care of it. Some people think it's French, but it's German. So.
Is it?
Yeah. Yeah, German or Prussian, I think, if you go back far enough. But,
Oh, okay.
Anyhow.
Usually German names are like a profession or a thing.
Right. Right. Yeah.
But I don't know those words.
Yeah.
Do you know the translation?
I don't. No. But some people pronounce it Pufahl. Sounds a little more sophisticated, but yeah, we always say Pufahl.
Just a little.
Right,
more.
a little right, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, barely. Right.
Because my last name is German, and it's Metzger, and it means butcher.
Okay. Yeah.
And I like that. That makes me sound hardcore.
Right.
Right. So let's launch into it. Your instrument that you're playing tonight is.
Yeah, so I'm playing the alto sax.
Is that your standard horn or?
You know, I probably spend an even amount of time playing tenor, alto, pretty split 50-50. And Joe, primarily in this group, plays tenor. We've both played tenor at times, and then we experimented a little bit with kind of both doubling a little bit. But I think for tonight, we're just going to, stay on alto. And tenor.
Like tenor madness, and you just fucking bring it in.
Right, yeah. There's something that was kind of nice when we had two tenors, kind of a power with that, but it's kind of nice to stay dedicated on one, And in this grouping, I think both of us kind of enjoy the different voice. When you have the two tenors, sometimes it's, you kind of feel like you're battling in the same voice in a way. So
yeah, a little more prone to stepping on one another's toes.
Right. Yep.
So what I like to get into, what I'm interested in, one of the things, is how musicians, such as yourself, what their like origin story is. Like some kind of freaky superhero.
Sure.
Like when did you get bit by a spider type of shit? Like what was it for you that made music?
Well, I think my first exposure to music was getting interested in school, at least at that level, was my brother. I had an older brother who was a drummer.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up in Wisconsin, a small town, central Wisconsin. He was a really gifted drummer. In fact, he should have gone into music. but so anyway, he was a few years ahead of me in school and played drums in the band, and that was, when he was, checking out stuff in the high school band, and that got me interested in that. Earlier in that, my dad was not a musician by trade. He was a police officer, but he had played accordion early in his life. Took accordion lessons and did competitions.
Oh, he was into it.
He was, yeah. So that was always part of. He was playing in the garage, having a beer, playing accordion.
Old school, like woodshedding, man. Like he's out in the garage. Because the family's like, dude, are you serious?
And it's so loud.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So I think that probably had an influence too. He had an interest in music. So.
Oh, that's wicked. He'd be out there just chugging through the hits, the polka
That's right.
hits.
Yep. Lawrence Welk was a staple in the house. So
yeah. Man, that shit was maddening. I remember that when I was a kid on TV. It was crazy.
Quite something, yeah. But that was, I forget it was every Sunday or Saturday, but we used to, that was the thing.
Mm-hmm.
But
I do remember that. So my grandma liked to look at that. And even as a kid, I was like, damn.
It was quite the institution.
And he was a North Dakota guy, yeah?
That's
or
right.
South Dakota, something like that.
So. Yeah, yep. And that, kind of looking back at that, that was quite the industry for the guys that played in that band. That was a whole career.
Absolutely.
Guys.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And they knew how to bring it, and there was cash there. And I would love to see like a real fucking expose documentary on that shit. What came down? How did some people, come into it? They had the one black guy who was tap dancing.
Right. Yes.
And his story, because he's in the land of whiteness, man. That's
yeah. That that I think that show, when you look back at it, was kind of reflective of the times. It started quite early in a way too, if I recall. But
it was black and white TV staple.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Early. Yeah,
so
early
so for you, it was an older brother who was playing drum, and so he's playing in band. So he's doing like snare drum or percussion type stuff.
Yeah, he played. He was just a real natural talent. He had perfect pitch, and so he could tune the timpani, for the band concert without hearing a pitch and stuff. And he would always goof around and just play stuff, on the organ we had at home and stuff. And,
sure.
But he was just really, he was a band, guy. He was really into, the jazz band and and everything. And he actually did.
Also, he played kit then in jazz combo.
Yep, and he actually did some local community theater stuff. With doing pit things, So he was kind of, and I just was like, oh well, I want to go into music too. And then toward the end of high school, he got interested in his career in broadcasting and stuff. And so music to me that seemed like, that's something that I'm interested in too. And he wasn't doing music, so it seemed a little bit more
because he got into the radio,
right? Yeah.
And so your moment you come in, you're in the band room. How does that go down? Are they're always trying to get somebody to play clarinet?
Well, yeah. Actually, I signed up to play a brass instrument in the brass. I signed up for trombone, for whatever. So there was something about the trombone that appealed to me at the time.
It's cool.
Yeah, it's a great instrument.
I
always joke now that the way the story played out, I dodged a bullet. But no, I couldn't be in the brass class because of a schedule conflict with another class. And in my school, they didn't start until 7th grade, so it's quite late compared to to schools around here. But so I was put in the woodwind class, and they said, well, here. I think at that point I said, well, if I'm in the woodwind class, I'd like to play saxophone, and they of course said, well, we have we've got so many here. Why don't you play this? And then they pointed to this thing over on the shelf, which was an alto clarinet. And so that was my first instrument, was alto clarinet, and I didn't know any different. I took it home and. I was just interested in the sounds, what you could do with it, just kind of playing around with it. But I didn't really understand the unusualness of the alto clarinet, and now it's virtually extinct in band programs, mostly. But, and then I went to bass clarinet my second year, and I didn't really play saxophone until they needed somebody to play bari sax for the jazz ensemble, and then,
so they go to the bass clarinet guy.
They had actually the band ready to set it up in the room and had like 3 or 4 of us come down and all got a chance to play it. My 2 best friends were identical twins. They played oboe and bassoon, and they all tried it. And I guess I won or maybe I was the only one that wanted to do it enough or something. But I don't know if I had an affinity for it. But
You had 2 best friends, yeah. They're twins.
Yep. And
come on, you liked one more than the other.
Well, and I was closer friends more with the oboe player. Probably, but we were all friends. We were kind of this little group of and I think like for a lot of people like going to music, that's where you kind of find your crew of people that you identify with.
I like to find the conflict. Like with the twins, that's easy. So you're playing bass clarinet, then you're dealing down in the low clef.
Yeah.
And then baritone saxophone. Is that the same?
Yeah,
clef you're looking at?
Yeah, you're reading in treble clef, but you're in the you're in the lower supporting parts.
Okay, so it's still.
Yeah. So you're still written. Yeah, you're still written in the treble, but yeah, you're doubling. The low brass.
Yeah.
Primarily those kinds of stuff. But yeah, and then I just switched ultimately to tenor in high school, and then alto when I went to college and stuff. But but I've always
and then eventually. Graduate school soprano, and then eventually you got a penny whistle on.
I guess I only got as far as the alto. As far as schooling, but that's always been of interest to me. When the times that I have played bari, it has felt a little bit more familiar. I don't own one, and I don't really play it that much. But
so your first though is alto clarinet.
Alto clarinet, yeah,
and that is interesting and odd.
Very odd, yeah.
But yet, they're just giving it to you like it's a normal thing, so you're just like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I'll play this, I guess.
Yeah.
So, Yeah, it's I've always kind of wanted to get one too, but I just haven't pursued it.
Yeah.
Because it's a great. I mean, it's a really unique voice, and I know
Yeah.
and it's been used very creatively. I know Joe Lovano and
Uh-huh.
people have. There's a lot of really creative things that you can do with it because it's such a weird sound. It's kind of equivalent to like a C melody saxophone.
Mhm.
It's such an odd voice.
Yeah.
So it could be interesting, but
Yeah, I'm sure.
Um,
So then that takes you through like high school. You've moved into alto by the time you're
yeah, I
in your
played
high school game.
tenor and then really alto. I think my senior year because I knew I was going into music
Mhm.
for college, and they figured you might. I took a few lessons, and the teacher said, "Well, you should get an alto." So I
Mhm.
got an alto, and then
Okay.
played that primarily.
Mhm.
For most of my college studies, but
So what are you doing in high school, man? Would it be have like maybe get together with your little shitty friends and make little combos on the side, or was it mostly taking place inside of the band room?
my unfortunate, not necessarily unfortunate. My experience in my school band was not. It wasn't a super strong program, I would say.
Mhm.
Compared to a lot of great programs that I've encountered. In
Sure.
Minnesota, and so there wasn't a lot going on extra. I just did the stuff. In the I think I was really interested in like solo ensemble where you got to play with a sax quartet. That was something that I thought was interesting. But I really didn't do any combo playing or anything. Just the jazz band in the school and
Sure.
that kind of thing. So.
Uh-huh. So it stayed within that, and then you're bringing a horn home then that you practice on and all that. That's how they do it? Is that...
Yeah, I'm trying to remember how that went. I guess I did schlep something back and forth. I think I borrowed,
Mhm.
borrowed a horn from school
Mhm.
because I did get one toward the end of high school,
Yeah.
but yeah,
I think that's such a cool thing. I mean, I've talked to so many cats where that story that you have, obviously with like variations, very common for people that end up in the improvisation / jazz realm. Really, that's their introduction. That's their first time they're holding an instrument.
Yeah, absolutely. And for me, I think that is a great showcase of like what's important about school music programs.
God damn,
it can inform someone's whole what they want to do. And so in the era that we're in today with a lot of cuts and budget cuts and things like that,
It's always one of the first out, man. You're just like, fuck it.
Yeah.
And then, almost in a way, the way that the arts get a lot more students to per teacher ratio or whatever, like overwhelming.
Yeah.
Like, if you check the band teacher, like
Well,
where my kid
right?
was going to school, huh?
You're dealing with a lot of people in a room at one time.
Yeah, and it's
yeah.
overwhelming in so many students. It's
Yeah.
much bigger, and the same thing if you're an art teacher, becomes
Yeah, absolutely.
undoable
Yep.
in a lot of ways. But that is like a theme that'll many of the people I've talked to share, and I think it does underscore the importance of a program like that,
Yeah,
aside
absolutely.
from
Sure. Yep.
just that it's fucking wicked cool to do. You
right,
get to do it, but I think a lot of people come through that,
Sure.
and it's
Yeah.
an important part of what they're doing.
Absolutely. Yep. Yeah, there's so many, particularly in like right now with the big push for STEM engineering programs.
Yeah.
And it's and sometimes we forget about like those I don't know if to use a business term, I guess value added things that are in
Mhm.
the music programs that
Yeah.
so anyhow there's my
That's how
pitch
it gets
for
weird, man. Yeah, I hear you. You'd like to be able to the government funding. They love some kind of metric
Sure.
to measure,
Sure, to measure, right? Yeah.
and it just doesn't exist in the arts
Right. Right.
or
And
in the creative fields, and so they don't have a way to prove that money that they've sent in to that has had an impact.
right.
And then they're worried about constituents and whatnot,
Right.
and that's It's unfortunate, but not everybody comes up through that. Musicians, obviously, there's the freakish loner category.
Right.
That's
right.
me. And so I was never involved in band or things like that, but I was aware of it.
Sure.
And I always thought, oh, that looked good in there, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
It's almost like it's not school. You're doing something that's so
Well, right.
like off
Yeah.
the chart, man. I always thought, oh man. But I never got with that. So then you made when you're thinking about like after high school what to do, you were thinking about.
Yeah, I didn't have a real plan per se.
Yeah.
I knew I was interested in music, and my brother had gone to state school in Wisconsin in Eau Claire, and so then I knew that they had I knew enough that knew there was a good music program there, and so I just said, well, I'll just go there.
Okay.
That's literally how I picked it.
And your brother went there as
my
well?
brother did go there, yep.
And he got a music degree?
No,
or
he had a communications degree.
Okay, so
from
he really
yeah.
switched over. He was by that time he was.
Yeah, he didn't play after high school. I think we when we overlapped for a semester or two, I think. And I did play with him once because as a freshman I was thinking this would be great. We can get a group together, and I convinced him to come to the practice room, and we played for one little session.
Oh man,
he played drums, and that was it.
How dreamy was that though, man? It had to be.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. I kind of wish we had more time to kind of explore that, because I think he was offered a scholarship to go to school for music.
Yeah.
Because he was so talented at it too, and he was like, oh, he was already into broadcasting. That was a passion of his.
He got it just wasn't. So he was never like, yeah, man, let's hook up.
Right. I was surprised that he didn't play on the side, though, because he would have been a person that I could have seen having a two-pronged kind of career, but anyhow, he left it for me to go into music.
Yeah. So then you went to that school then?
I did, yeah. I was, most of my time there, I was declared as a music education major.
Okay.
And ultimately, I've ended up doing a lot in music ed, but I actually switched my degree toward the end and just got a broad-based music degree with a psychology minor.
Okay.
Toward the end of my schooling, I had done a couple cruise ship contracts over the summer.
A couple of what, I'm sorry?
Cruise ships, where I played in the band on a cruise ship.
Oh,
Up
okay.
in Alaska. And that kind of changed my take. I kind of started to think, well, I'm not sure I want to be a band director.
Were you band director on those gigs?
No, I was just playing. I just played in a show band, and so I was kind of a little bit more interested in playing at that point. So I
were
switched,
you backing up just to focus on that? Because to me that sounds really dreamy and odd, like you're on a cruise ship. Are you backing up a vocalist, or what's happening? Is it for dancing?
It's all of those things. I think it was. You played some dance sets, and then you would play for a nightly show every night, and it would be kind of like C-list, entertainers really that came on.
Sure.
Guys that weren't like big enough names to be making it in Vegas, and they had an act, and so you get all manner of vocalists, jugglers, comedians,
Yeah, because they're getting set work, man. They're on the boat.
Right. Yep.
Once you're on the boat, you're getting paid.
And it was a fantastic summer job for me, and then I did a contract after college, and that's it. I know Joe has done some of that, and a lot of guys have done that, and that's a great experience for me. It's a great eye-opening experience, and it's a great way to travel.
You're playing alto for that usually?
I played alto and tenor both, and then flute and clarinet doubling.
Okay.
So that kind of got me in that direction a little bit for show playing, doubling and things. But yeah, that was kind of that was for me, it was lucky to do it during this summer as a summer job in college, because that's an amazing summer job the last couple of summers.
So how was your idea of improvisation developing along that time?
So I've told students this too. When I was in high school, I didn't have any concept of there being any theory or anything. I just thought that guys who played jazz, just played what sounded good, which ultimately is true. But of course, I didn't understand that there was, any theory to back that up. Right? Yeah. And then so when I was studying my teacher was Greg Keel, an amazing educator and
Mhm.
performer in the Twin Cities here, but he was my first like legitimate, teacher.
Yeah.
And he had, introduced me to, here, learn this lick. And so I would do that, and I would think like, okay, here's another lick number 2.
Yeah.
In my notebook, and I would be very diligent and learn it and stuff. And then
Are these like turnarounds, or what's he giving
yeah,
you?
yeah,
Uh-huh.
but very basic, things simple licks to play over, 2-5-1 chord progression or something. And so
Okay.
at the time, I thought, man, I'm going to be amazing when I get to like lick number 56.
Yeah.
It's going to be like, and then of course, oh, right. And then it's kind of dawned on me over a period of years, like, oh, well, the idea is not to play licks, that's just like your training wheels to
That's right.
get some direction, but
Yeah.
but that's, that was kind of my foray into that. I mean, I was always interested in, how I learned was really by ear, and I didn't really learn, notes first. I just learned like this sound was this fingering, and I knew what it looked
Right.
like on the staff, and I knew like, oh, that's note, but I didn't.
Well, but then you became a good reader, I assume, because you're the cruise ship. You can't just.
Yeah, and a lot of my college experience was a big band and high level reading and everything.
Yeah.
So I mean, I come like a typical horn player. I come from that
Yeah.
direction and things. And stand up and play a solo and
Yeah.
big band for 20 seconds, then sit down. And,
Yeah. Yeah.
But
I love that form in a way. Like it's the big band solo. Where it's really is like 4 bars, man, and then
right,
just drop back
pressure
down.
time, get like, super worked up, stand up and like burn, now sit down. It's,
Why is that so funny to me? It's just so great.
It is, yeah. I mean, it's its own special thing, and of course,
Mhm.
that's as a horn player, that's kind of like it's your networking. I mean, you
Sure.
other saxophone players because you play in a section together, and you
Yeah.
learn so many things, as far as that
Uh-huh.
goes. So that was primarily my my college
Yeah.
experience.
So the improvisation you're learning, just like you were saying, the training wheel portion of it, where you're learning some set moves that can be used.
Yeah.
And how to look at chord changes.
Yeah, right,
Mhm.
and getting some chances to play tunes,
Yeah.
at the local borders at the time or something,
Sure.
And also doing some of them on the cruise ship at the time too, real standard
Yeah.
kinds of things.
Mhm.
And that was long enough ago too, where there was still, I think, opportunities to do that more.
Yeah.
Where you would have gigs where you would just play standards, for background music.
Oh, yeah.
Things that I don't really do hardly ever now.
But it sounds like you cut your teeth on some of that real standard shit.
Yeah,
And,
for sure. And I'm I'll be 45 this month, so that was that was in the early 90s, so that was still kind of a different era. I mean,
Mhm.
things have changed so much by now that it's
Mhm.
it's a totally different experience for guys that are just coming out of college
Yeah.
now, and
Well, where do you find yourself now then? Like, as far as, charts versus just ear improvisation. Where does that fit into who you are as a player?
For me now, at my age, I feel like I'm finally. I mean, a couple things. I spent a lot of my career thus far, doing, kind of being a cog in the wheel of working as a
Sure.
working musician. I
Yeah.
think that, without even realizing, I think that's what my kind of worldview was when I was in college. Was that you would
Mhm.
get out and you would work doing, kind of whatever you needed to, the unnamed.
I got it,
You're
yeah.
going to do that, so that was always kind of my path. And I've done quite a bit of show playing for various productions, pit orchestra and things, and big band gigs, and
I love that realm, man. I've gotten to do it just a little bit, and because I love that material.
Sure.
And I like being off to the side.
Sure.
And you're part of some other mechanism that's not really the focus.
Right.
And then it's another night of it,
Right.
And,
Yeah.
I love that world. It's so unusual.
Yep. There's part of me that I really like that routine part of it, and also
Yeah.
that you're part of this but you're also completely anonymous. You know, I mean that kind of fits my personality a little bit. But
I thought it was a real cool slot, and but then so you're saying you felt yourself as being fitting a role, like okay, I'm
right, yeah,
second,
right, whatever
tenor
you need
guy
to do,
or whatever, yeah.
You know, and at a certain point, I think I realized like, well, maybe that's not. I mean that's great if there's a lot of things going on, but that's maybe not necessarily going to fulfill all what I wanted to do. So, so to play like with this group where we're doing original material and getting a chance to kind of stretch for me is like really meaningful. And I'm kind of at a point in my life too where I'm not as busy with other things just due to family and also just economics of there not being as much work. And so then I kind of feel like, well, if there's not a lot of work, I want to do something I really am passionate about.
Goddamn right, man.
Yeah, I want to pursue this.
So tonight you're doing original material, and then that stretches you as a player, or
yeah, all around. I mean, as a writer and then as a player, and not technically really the leader of this group. We kind of consider us all, but Joe and I were kind of the two that we kind of came up with. The concept, I guess. So yeah, it's been great for me.
And what is the concept of what's happening tonight?
We just, I met Joe when he moved to Minneapolis about I don't know, six years ago or so. And yeah, we just had played in some groups together, big band groups and things, and then we had just talked about how we were both interested in doing kind of a group. I don't exactly remember how we kind of came upon it, but we thought, oh well, maybe we should get a group of two saxophones, and I was always kind of interested in doing a group without a chordal instrument, partially because I'm consider myself a novice at writing, harmony for a chordal instrument.
Okay.
Partially that, but also just because you have some freedom, and I've always kind of had an interest in, it's rooted in tradition, but also with a freer approach to, I guess, in a way, I don't know.
Right.
So that was it. We didn't really have a set idea, but that's kind of what it's.
That's kind of where.
Yeah, right.
Where
so it's kind of grown from that. And I played with Joey, going back quite a while, since not long after I moved here, about 20 years ago. We played together in groups, and then we've actually done quite a few shows together, which has been great. And Ted as well, I've known for the last probably 5 years or something. So yeah, just kind of.
So you guys have all logged some miles.
Yeah, it's been, the group has been together in this formation for at least 3 years, 4 years, and we've kind of been, it had little kind of fits and starts with how life gets in the way a little bit.
Yeah, I got you.
With 3 of the 4 of us have kids, so that's a big part of it. And but yeah, the nice thing is I think we've kind of gotten to a point where we have some material and we have a rapport and stuff. So we're excited to.
Well, I'm looking forward to hear you guys lay it down today.
Well, thanks. So we're looking forward to playing.
Dig.
Yeah.
And thanks for sitting down and
absolutely
talking about your thing. And I'll let you get ready to play.
Cool.
Because I see the time is rolling on.
Okay.
And looking forward.
Great. Thanks so much. Yeah, it's a pleasure.
Clay Pufahl, our guest for this week's edition of the Khyber Pass podcast. He performed in quartet, under the name Big Shoe, consisting of himself on alto, saxophone, Joe Mayo on tenor, Ted Olson upright, and Joey Van Phillips drum kit. Original modern jazz pieces with a conversational and rhythmic predilection. He shared his story on our pathway to understanding the musician as improviser. Many vectors converge. There is no one path, but many. My interest is to explore these pathways and present them to you as an interested listener. There will be a break in recording Cover Pass podcasts until the first week of May. Until that time, this is Paul Metzger signing off as your host. To the Kuiper Pass podcast, brought to you as always by Amel Sherzad and the Kuiper Pass Cafe, St. Paul, Minnesota. Afghan cuisine.